What if you could actually turn back the clock on your body's real age? Not by just a little bit, but by, several years. And what if you could do all that safely, without the kind of risks that we often hear about with these big anti-aging breakthroughs? Well, let's dive into this, because today we are looking at a clinical trial that claims it can do exactly that.
So, at the very heart of this entire study is one single number, 5.8. Now, what do you think that number means? It's not a rating. It's not a percentage. Nope. It's actually a measure of time.
That's right, 5.8 years of genetic age reversal. And maybe the most incredible part, the clinical trial showed these results happen in only 8 weeks. I mean, wow. So how is that even possible? Let's get into the science.
To really understand how you can reverse aging, first, you gotta understand how we even measure it. Down at the cellular level. It all comes down to what scientists call our biological clock.
And the key to this clock is something called a telomere. Just think of them as these tiny little protective caps on the very ends of our chromosomes. Every single time one of our cells divides, these caps get a little bit shorter. So the length of our telomeres, that's a direct marker for our biological age. The shorter they get, the older our cells are.
Probably the easiest way to picture a telomere is to think about the little plastic tip on the end of a shoelace, right? Just like you see here. As long as that tip is solid, the shoelace is fine. But as soon as it starts to fray and wear down, the whole lace just starts to fall apart. It's pretty much the same idea with our chromosomes. Those telomeres protect our DNA, and when they get too short, the cell just stops working the way it's supposed to.
So the goal of any real age reversal therapy is to actually lengthen these telomeres back out again. The clinical trial for this supplement, My Life 100, broke down all its findings into 4 really clear, proven pillars of rejuvenation. So let's take a look at the proof.
Okay, so these 4 pillars are: number 1, genetic age reversal, which we've already touched on. Second, metabolic optimization. Third is enhanced immunity. And super important, number 4 is absolute safety. This framework really gives us a great roadmap for digging into the results.
All right, let's start with that big headline number. The scientific benchmark is that for every 70 base pairs you add to your telomere length, that equals about 1 year of age reversal. So in this 8-week trial, people saw an average increase of 408 base pairs. You do the quick math on that, and boom. That's where you get that incredible 5.8-year reversal of genetic age. And what this chart shows us is just how consistent the results were. If you look at the data, you can see that 8 out of the 10 people in the study had their telomeres get significantly longer. Now, the results did vary a bit, from 1.5 years all the way up to a mind-blowing 23-year reversal in one person. The researchers noted that the 2 who didn't respond had some underlying health issues before the study even started. Okay, let's move to that second pillar, metabolic health. This chart here shows systolic blood pressure. The light green bars, that's the before, and the dark blue is the after 8 weeks. I mean, just look at the difference. The group average dropped from 133, which is kind of borderline high, all the way down to a healthy 121. For a lot of these folks, that meant moving from a range of higher cardiovascular risk to being well within the normal, healthy zone. And it was the exact same story with fasting blood glucose. The group average went from 103, which is actually in the pre-diabetic range, down to an optimal 88. So the big takeaway here is that this isn't just about telomeres. It's about making the core systems that keep us healthy as we age work better.
Pillar number 3 is immunity, and this is a big one. The trial found major increases in 2 supercritical types of immune cells, CD4 cells, which are kind of like the generals of your immune army, and CD8 cells, which are the soldiers on the front lines. So what does that mean in real terms? Well, it's like generating hundreds of millions of new defensive cells all over your body, creating a much stronger defense against anything abnormal, including cancer cells.
And finally, the 4th pillar, safety. This part is just non-negotiable, right? Clinical tests showed that liver and kidney function stayed perfectly normal, which means the supplement isn't toxic. And on top of all that, the participants themselves reported just feeling better. Better sleep quality, improved mood, and way more energy. So we've seen the results. Pretty impressive. But what's actually causing all these changes? Well, the answer is in a really unique plant-based formula.
Yeah, this isn't some synthetic drug. My Life 100 is a dietary supplement. It's approved by the Thai FDA, and it's made from extracts of 5 edible plants. You've got pennywort, black sesame, soybeans, guava, and mangosteen. And the instructions in the trial were super simple, just 5 capsules a day.
So how do a few plants pull off age reversal?
Well, the mechanism is what's called broad-spectrum stem cell stimulation. As you can see here, it basically wakes up two key types of stem cells. On one side, you have the builders. These are mesenchymal stem cells, and they create new cells to repair our organs. On the other side, you have the guardians, hemoeotic stem cells, which are in charge of our entire immune system, getting rid of infected or even cancerous cells. It's this 1-2 punch that leads to that deep rejuvenation.
Now, a single study is always really interesting, but for real scientific proof, you need to be able to get the same results again, and that is exactly what happened next. A second, even more rigorous trial was done by researchers at Mahidol University, and this one was the gold standard in clinical research. It was larger, it was randomized, double-blind, and placebo-controlled. And guess what? Their findings confirmed that MyLife 100 worked for improving health span and got similar results on longevity.
The researchers did point out one key difference, though. The improvements to the immune system weren't quite as dramatic in that second study, and they provided some really important context for this. The participants had all recently gotten an mRNA vaccine for COVID-19, and as other studies have shown, those vaccines can temporarily lower your T-cell counts, which is exactly what this trial was measuring.
So, when you put all of this evidence together, what does it really mean for the future of how we think about aging? What this research is really showing us is a whole new way of thinking about this. It's not just about turning back the clock on one little thing. It's about a total approach. You're getting genetic age reversal, you're optimizing your metabolic health, and you're boosting your immune system to make sure the whole thing is safe and risk-free. It's truly a holistic kind of rejuvenation.
And that really brings us to the final question. With its unique ability to lengthen telomeres, enhance immunity, and improve your overall health, all from a safe, non-toxic plant-based formula, you just have to ask, is this the new standard we should all be aiming for in our search for a longer and maybe more importantly, a healthier life?